There are two types of people in the world, those that overuse PowerPoint animation and those that underutilize it. Now, the over-animators have a tendency to go overboard. These are the people that get their company profiles to boomerang in. Never use the boomerang animation, ever. The under-animators have slides that look like they've tried to cram War and Peace on one slide and Anna Karenina on the next. But there's a simple lesson that both kinds of people need to know. Animation is a key part of storytelling in your presentations. It helps you to pace the flow of information and to tell a more effective story, helping your audience to stay engaged for longer. But of course, you can take things even further than that, using animation in a sophisticated and elegant way to make PowerPoint feel like it's, well, not PowerPoint at all really. And what better way to break out of simple animations than by using animation combinations? Now, PowerPoint has had the same set of animations forever, really. They're all in the Animations tab, they're all in this gallery here of Add Animation. There's a few more down there, but largely this is it. And so how do you make any of these seem exciting? Well, you combine them together. For instance, the standard zoom here is nice enough, it helps things to kind of come in with a bit more energy, but it kind of stops a bit flat right at the end if you keep playing it. It doesn't really work that great. What if you were to add something else to it to make it feel a little bit different, feel a bit more natural perhaps in the way that it's zooming out? A neat trick is to combine a zoom animation with a grow shrink animation. So I've added simple zoom, that's a basic entrance animation. If you click on the object again and go to add animation, and this time choose an emphasis animation, one of these yellow ones, normally to be used very sparingly, I'm going to choose this one on the top right, grow shrink, because what that does is it makes something larger or smaller. But you can control that in quite fine detail. If you right click on any animation in the animation pane, you'll have the effect options button come up. And that then gives you this pop-up which shows you different things that you can do. Firstly, on something like the grow shrink, you can change the size. Now there's a drop-down menu here where you can choose a few presets but also a custom amount. And I'm going to do a relatively small amount, maybe 120% or so. At this point, you might think, being the clever UI designer that you are, you'll click OK. No. That will cause it to cancel out, which is really irritating. You need to hit Enter to lock that value in, and then you can choose OK, and now it's going to increase by 1.2 times, 120%. All right, great. That doesn't look very dynamic there, Richard. So let's go back into that menu again. Once you've chosen your size here, you can then go further down the options. Now, smooth start and smooth end, I think, are a lovely tool set to use with animations to make them feel, well, smooth, sophisticated, subtle in the way that they're working, and most critically of all, to be honest, natural. I think one of the reasons that many PowerPoint animations don't work quite so well is they don't feel natural. It's not what a real world object would do. They're too harsh or abrupt. By adding in a level of smoothness to how the animation starts or how the animation finishes, just makes the whole thing feel much more realistic. And in this case, what I'm going to do is have the animation start standard, so start quite fast, but then come to a gradual halt with that smooth end. And these are just increasing or decreasing the rate of acceleration of the effect. Going further down, I'm also going to have it auto reverse. So it's going to increase to 120% and then it's going to decrease again back down to 100% again. There's a few other options here. You can choose the timing, for instance. Now, the duration of 2 seconds feels like it's a bit too slow. So I'm going to drop this down to maybe very fast, half a second. Or you know what, maybe even a bit quicker than that. Perhaps even quarter of a second might be good there. And then with that, you're pretty much done. What I can do now is change this grow shrink animation so that it happens immediately after the zoom animation. So you can go to the animations tab up here and start after previous, and you see the little animation timeline showing one and then the other. And now in slideshow mode, what can happen is they're going to zoom in and it's going to give you that nice kind of zoom in, and then it's gone too far. Oh, let's just pare it back. And the smooth end on that just makes it feel that much more natural, almost giving it a level of elasticity. I can then use the Animation Painter, so the Animations tab, Animation Painter here on the right hand side, to paste that same animation onto the next point. Do the same thing on this point as well, and now you've very quickly got this nice little sequence where you can build in each of these points in a way that looks and feels something that really isn't anything that PowerPoint can do as standard. And of course, simple combinations of a couple of animations like that can do all sorts of wonderful things. Here, bringing in more elements, this time using an entrance animation and a motion path for them. The 3 orange bars here are all using an appear animation to make it instantly appear, and then a motion path to bring it into the slide. The reason we've been able to get away with an appear, and yet it doesn't look too harsh here, is that they're all coming from the very edge of the slide. So if you look at the motion path here, it's quite long, and so the start of it is all the way down off the edge of the slide, and the initial start point for the object is off the edge there, so you never really see it. Well, then why do you need the appear animation at all? Well, if we just remove it from this first one here, you'll see what happens. Because now in slideshow mode, what's going to happen is the object appears there, and then it jumps off the slide and moves. And so having an entrance animation, even if it's an appear, is important at the start, because that tells PowerPoint that it shouldn't be on there during the transition, and then it can appear at the same time as it suddenly jumps down to this start point here and moves up. These little kind of ghost elements I want on a fade because they have a shorter motion path. They don't come from the edge of the slide because they blend in really nicely. And the two of those together, different timings and different directions, just again add something to it. Now, if you are going to use combinations of animations, there's a very useful add-in that you should consider getting called BrightSlide. It's something you can download completely free from the BrightCarbon website, so brightcarbon.com/BrightSlide. And this allows you to do all sorts of things, especially for animations in PowerPoint. So here, for example, I've got a map slide, and I want to introduce all of these map markers in a slightly more interesting way. You could use the combinations that you come up with, but you can go to this BrightSlide tab that appears here, and over on the right hand side you've got this animation section. Now with animations there's a few different things you can do, but the first option here is My Animations, which gives you a library of preset kind of combos of animations. Now these are things that we've just come up with as a starter pack, and you can add your own or you can customize these as you see fit. But if you choose something like a bounce entrance, what that does on each of these map markers is it gives you a combination of 3 animations. A basic zoom this time, and then 2 different grow shrink animations, each with different timings and different effects. And so that now gives you something that again looks and feels very different from anything you'll get in standard PowerPoint. Now I like that, and if you are creating your own custom combinations, you can select the object that you've animated with that custom set, go to the BrightSlide tab and go to My Animations, and down at the bottom here choose Save from Selection, and that will allow you to add up to 30 different custom animation combinations in your library here. So a great way to be able to quickly set up a style that you'd like and apply it across multiple elements within a presentation, or indeed across multiple presentations. Of course, just having these come up like that is okay, but let's add another layer to it, another layer of elegance and sophistication. The fact they all come up at once is a bit of a shame. So what you can do with BrightSlide, if you've got multiple elements animating like that, is go to the BrightSlide tab and the animation section, and under Utilities on the right hand side here, choose Waterfall Delay. What that will do is it will bring up this little pop-up which says, okay, great, what delay would you like? What kinds of effects would you like included? What timings would you like included? And indeed, would you like to cascade it across all of the animations if there are multiple on a single object? In this case, I'm going to choose all effects and all timings and do a 0.05 second delay. If you then choose OK, it takes a second, and it will then put a stagger on all of these so that now in slideshow mode, it comes up and it populates the world rather nicely. You can do that manually in PowerPoint, but it's going to take you a long time. With BrightSlide, just a couple of seconds, so well worth considering. It can also push things further for you for easier storytelling. Here we've got a sequence where it might be lots of different local data storage places, and we're consolidating everything into a single point. You can do that using BrightSlide by modifying how motion paths work. So if I've got all of these different local data sources here, all to merge into this point, you can select the point you want them to merge towards, select all of the different local data sources here, and then under BrightSlide and animations and utilities, there are a couple of tools for motion paths, one of which is to match endpoints. Now, if you've already got objects with a motion path on, it will match to the endpoint of the first object. If these objects don't have motion paths, like mine, it will match to the first object you selected. So now it'll instantly add motion paths all gathered towards this point here. And so now in slideshow mode, it'll come up and can say, look, we've got local data centers all over the place. Let's consolidate them all into one cloud-based system. So again, trying to make animation seamless, easy, and effortless so that you can focus on making it look good and ideally telling your story.